Hey everybody, my name is Deja and welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing my September TBR. As you guys can probably tell, my location is a little bit different than it's been the past couple months, and that's because I'm back at school in my apartment, and you guys can see it's different. And I filmed a move-in vlog. It's very chaotic and I barely read, but a lot of people wanted to see it, so I'm gonna try and edit it and put it together for y'all, but we'll see what happens because a lot of people did want to see it. And then also I'm working on another vlog that will include my first week of school, but it's a broader vlog. But I have a TV in my room this year, which I haven't had one in the past 2 years, in my dorm, so we could still have our fireplace ambiance, so I'm really happy about that. She's just a little further back. Please bear with me as I get used to this because I feel like I'm so close to the camera, but like I literally cannot move back more because of this desk, and she's like jiggly, like she rattles, okay? Like I keep bumping into it and it's rattling, so if you hear any rattling, I'm so sorry. And I also might like change the lighting. We'll see how I feel in editing when everything comes together, but honestly it's looking pretty good to me, so pat on the back for me for figuring this out, because it's the first time I'm filming a sit down video here. And this should be the first video that you do see in this room. And I'm just really excited. There's a lot of new people on my channel, so hello to all of y'all. And basically, I pick my TBR in a couple different ways every single month. If you don't know, I mostly do a TBR jar now. I just started a couple months ago, and I've been doing a spinner wheel for the past almost a year. It's not been a full year, but it's been a while. I tested it out for a couple months last year without punishments or anything to see if I wanted to do it, and then this year I started doing punishments, which the first month that I had to take one was actually last month. So speaking of last month, let's just go over my punishments, what I pulled from my TBR jar, everything like that. So for my spinner wheel last month, I did 5 spins, which I'm going to be doing again this month, and these are 4 of the books. For one word title, I did Creep by Jennifer Hillier. This was also my Patreon book club pick for August. I did shut down my Patreon for August as I was in this transition, which is a good idea for me because it was actually more chaotic than I thought. And everything started back up now, so if you do want to join my Patreon, it is linked down below and you can definitely join now, and billing has started back and everything like that again. And the next one was The Perfect Ruin, which was for a Hoopla audiobook. For a reread, I chose The Last Housewife. For a paperback, I chose Just Like Home. And then for a NetGalley arc, I chose The Trap. And The Trap was actually also my punishment for last month because in July I didn't get to all the books that I spun for, so I had to make a spinner wheel with punishments on it. And my punishment for last month was to go to Goodreads, and the first book that I see that I haven't read yet on my feed is the book that I have to read. So that ended up actually being The Trap, which worked out okay because it was one that was on my radar that I already heard of. And I mean, it didn't turn out that well. I'm not actually going to be doing a wrap up for this month because I only read 5 books. I'm just going to combine August and September together, and you'll see my thoughts on The Trap later, but I did not like it. And so out of the ones that I read, I did read The Trap. I also read The Perfect Ruin and The Last Housewife. And I'm currently in the middle of Creep because it is my Patreon book club pick, so I will definitely be getting to that one. But unfortunately, I did not make it to Just Like Home for a paperback, and I did read one other book this month that wasn't one of these ones, but it was a hardcover. I know that I should take a punishment, but because it's only one book, if it was multiple books, I would definitely take a punishment. But because it's only one book, and I only read 5 books in the month, and literally everything was freaking chaos, I'm gonna give myself a pass. You know, it's my game, my rules. Y'all can be mad at me. Y'all can try to do whatever you want. Be mad, go off in the comments. I know that y'all literally actually don't care. This month has been a month, so I'm gonna just give myself a pass on this one and slide it by. I only read 5 books, the least amount of books that I read in a month. So that means that to complete this TBR, I would have had to read just those 5 books. And I couldn't even count my TBR jar because then I would have had to read 6 books. But I did read the book that I chose for my TBR jar this past month. The book that I pulled from my TBR jar the past month was Sky Falling, and this one I never heard anybody talk about on BookTube before, but my mom read this book and loved it. It was like her favorite book ever. She wouldn't shut up about it, and she never gives books 5 stars, literally ever. Like all of the books that I give her that are like my favorites of all time, she's like 3.5 stars. So I was like, okay, well, we need to see what occurs when I read one of your faves. And so I ended up picking it from the jar, and I did read it. And in July, when I first started my TBR jar, the pick was Dark Roads by Chevy Stevens. And I didn't read it in July, so I carried it over into this past month, but I didn't really read that much this past month. I did start this book, so I am like in the middle of it, and it was really interesting, but I had to set it down because I was a part of the Literally Dead book club / the book troop crossover this month as well, so I had a lot of books just to read that I needed to read. So yeah, I had to just put it down for now and like do reading vlogs and just my own book club pick and stuff like that. But I know, like, I think I should make it where, like, if I don't read the pick from the jar, that I should unhaul it. But because I started it, I'm gonna hold on to it, try and read it this month as well on top of a new TBR jar pick, and I'll update you guys in my October TBR. And if I don't get to it this month, I think we're gonna have to unhaul it. But it's not that I didn't like her. She was actually pretty engaging. It just, everything's a mess. Everything's chaos. I have no words. I literally don't have words for what's been going on. So now that we went over my previous month, I'm going to talk about this month, obviously what y'all came here for me to talk about. And I'm not doing any readathons or anything this month. I don't think that I have the mental capacity to participate in a readathon at the moment, so I'm going to say no readathons in September. I think that there is like a readathon that Kayla from Books and Lala is putting on for her channel members that is like 3 days long. I may participate in that, but I'll just fit whatever books I haven't read yet on my TBR in September into that readathon because it's pretty vague and it's like a bingo board and you can start wherever you want. Maybe something spooky will come about that I get drawn to participate in, but I have to get a grasp on my life first before I can even think about participating in a readathon, okay? Like, y'all don't get it. I'm literally holding on by a thread, okay? I think I would need to do like a life update for my Patreon because I've kind of talked about it in a video for them that hasn't been posted yet, but I feel like I just need to like let some people know like everything that's been going on because it's literally been ridiculous. Every single day something new is happening. Like it never stops. Like, I know this is life, but like over the summer I was straight chilling, okay? I had a couple like bigger things happen, but now that's what I'm saying. It's like every day, can't catch no break. It's just a lot, all right? Before we get into my TBR jar and my spinner wheel, I'm gonna talk about my Patreon book club pick for this month. As I said, if you want to join my Patreon, my top 2 tiers, the Psychological Baddies and the Slasher Queens, participate in the book club. So you can come over and join us and talk in the live show, talk in the Discord. We would love to have you. I love book clubs so much. I've actually been in 2 previous other book clubs before. For my Patreon book club, which we do call the final chapter, it has a name because my whole Patreon is horror themed. Like, that's why I have Psychological Baddies, Slasher Queens, like the little kind of subgenres of horror, and we generally choose thriller, horror, or like dark romance for our book club. That's kind of like the options that I give, and people pick whichever book they want to read. And I'm surprised by the book that won this month, I'm not gonna lie, and that is She Started It by Sion Gilbert, I think is how you say it. This was a book of the month pick, I think in July or August, I can't remember. I think it was for July, and I ended up picking it up because I didn't originally at first. I was gonna skip the month, but then I heard a lot of good things about this one, and all I know about it is that it follows this group of women that go to this bachelorette party on this really like luxurious island. I believe like it's a tropical bachelorette party, and they got invited there by obviously someone who's getting married, and it's actually a girl that they knew in their past, like I think probably like high school age, and they have not talked to her for years. Like, none of them have, so they're kind of like weirded out that they're getting invited to this bachelorette party. But obviously if it was me and someone was like someone that I knew, obviously, at least in the past, was like, I will pay all expenses for you to come to a tropical destination for a couple days, I'm taking it. I don't know about y'all, but me, my behind's gonna be on that beach, okay? So they end up going, and I think people start to die, and this girl who invited them may have some malicious intent, okay? So it sounds really good, and I'm excited to read it. I thought it was just gonna be like, you know, kind of average because it has like a good synopsis, but I feel like a lot of like basic thrillers have really good synopses, but then like you read them and it's just like every other thriller out there and it does nothing different, even if it sounds good. And so I'm kind of like, when I read it, I was like, oh, it sounds good, but like, but then I heard such good reviews of it so far. So yeah, and it won for the Patreon book club. So we'll be discussing that this month. Now we're going to move on to my TBR jar. As I said, I'm going to be reading The Dark Roads by Chevy Stevens as a carryover because I need to. And if you want to know all of what the colors mean, they're all different like genres that I read. It's on the bottom so I can keep track myself. But I go over it in my first TBR that I did this, which was my July TBR. So I'm gonna shake it. The color I always aim to not get is the light green because that is actually what's in here like the most, or like one of the most, and that one is a YA fantasy which I don't want to read. And the book that I get in this I probably will not have with me. I forgot to say, if you're new here, the TBR jar is all of the books that I own physically that I haven't read. So that there's a lot of them I know because I have way more books at home. And I just posted a bookshelf tour actually. So if you want to see kind of an idea of all the books that I own, check that out. I also kind of go over a general idea in my bookshelf reorganization I posted a couple months ago if you want to do something shorter because the bookshelf tour was an hour long. So thank you to the people who clicked on it. But yeah, so this is all the books I physically own, and I may not have it here with me here, but I have it at home. So if I need to go get it from there, I can, or I could probably just do the audiobook, which someone was trying to comfort me telling me that I only listen to audiobooks, which is not true because a lot of the like indie published books that I read do not have audiobooks. So I have to read them with my eyes. Just so you know, I don't get it. Anyways, I'm digging in the jar, I'm not looking, I'm not cheating. Plus, I don't even know what the books are because I wasn't about to write out every single title. So they just have a letter and a number on them that corresponds to a row and a column in a Google spreadsheet, which I have open next to me. So I don't even know what they are, but I'm not cheating. I'm not looking to see if I don't get green. If I get green, I'm probably just gonna have to take the L and unhaul the book, all right? So I'm gonna go for this little bitty rolled up one. It's a blue. Okay, blue's exciting. I think blue is thriller. Let's check. Yes, blue is thriller or mystery. How exciting. I think this is like the one that I have the most or the second most amount of books for. So I'm not surprised that I got this one either. So the number column, whatever combination that I have on here is G35. So let me go down to 35. So what it is Naked in Death by J.D. Robb, who's also Nora Roberts, who writes romance, but this is kind of more like I think it's like a mystery, like kind of like detective series. I'm not sure what it's about. I do own 4 books in the series and I'm not sure which one is the first one. So I'm gonna see if Naked in Death is the first one in the series, and if it's not, then I'll read the first one. So if I ever land on a sequel and I haven't read the book prior to it or the books prior to it, I will always read the first one in the series and knock that one off, and then if I pull it, I'll just re-pull. So let's see. Naked in Death is actually the first book in the series, so that's really convenient. It is a mystery, romance, crime. Those are like the top 3. I knew it was kind of like a mystery, crime, like romantic suspense type story. I'm gonna read the synopsis to y'all. It is the year 2058, so honestly, it was 1995, but 2058 is not that far away. I mean, it is, but I'll still be alive, so well, we hope. It is the year 2058 and technology now completely rules the world. But New York City detective Eve Dallas knows that the irresistible impulses of the human heart are still ruled by just one thing: passion. When a senator's daughter is killed, the secret life of prostitution she's been leading is revealed. The high-profile case takes Lieutenant Eve Dallas into the rarefield circles of the Washington politics and society. Further complicating matters is Eve's growing attraction to Rourke, who's one of the wealthiest and most influential men on the planet, devilishly handsome, and the leading suspect in the investigation. Honestly, sounds good. I hope that it talks about the prostitution. I'm excited about that. Not as excited about politics. I actually was originally a political science major, if you didn't know, so me and politics. Okay. But it sounds pretty good, and I'm excited to try it out. I'm hoping that it's kind of like Karen Slaughter vibes, but like I know it's not gonna be like dark like that, but I hope that it's kind of like similar kind of vibes, you know what I'm saying? So Naked in Death is what I'm gonna be reading for that. And now moving on to the spinner wheel. Spin number 1. A book for a video. So for the first spin, I got a book for a video, which is really convenient because, as I said, I have an ongoing video that I started during my first week of school, but I've just been reading so slowly that I didn't finish it during the month, which is completely fine because I'm not even doing a wrap up for this month. And I had to put on pause, obviously, to read like my book club stuff, but I'm going to be picking it up again this month, and I'm basically reading like new release thrillers and horror. By the time I basically finish the vlog, they're not even going to be new releases anymore, but you know, it's okay. But one of the ones I do really want to read for that is Mayfly by CJ Lead. And this one I heard is kind of like, oh, American Psycho, but like a woman. And I think she actually like dresses up as like a princess or something similar to that for like some kind of like Disney company, but she is actually like a serial killer for men, and like well, not for men, but she kills men, and she's a serial killer. So I'm really interested to try this one out. I've heard pretty good things about it so far, but I've also heard like 1 stars, so I'm excited to see where I land. It's not too long, and I just adore this cover. It is so less like disgusting, but like in the best way. Spin number 2. A book from my 12 books to read by 12 friends in 12 months. Next up was a book for my 12 challenge, which I have a whole video on my 23 books to read in 2023, which includes my 12 challenge if you want to watch that. I basically gave up on it, like at least a 12 challenge, because some of these books I really just have no desire to read anymore. So I'm sorry to all my besties out there who recommended me books and I'm not reading them. I'm so sorry, because I definitely should be, but like there's no way I'm gonna catch up. I've literally only read 2 of 12. And I don't have that many months left, so yeah. But one of the ones I'm still pretty interested in that I actually physically own. Most of the books I didn't physically own except for the 2 that I've already read. So yeah, but one I do own is the Roanoke Girls, and this one was recommended to me by Mel from Mel's Literary Disco. It was either this one or The Violence, but I have a lot of books that I want to read this month, or that I have hopes to read this month that I will not get to. I'll talk about at the end of this video. I definitely will not get to all of them, but I have hopes. And The Violence is like 500 pages, so I don't think that the month to read it is this month. I think I need kind of like shorter things. I'm in like a very thrillery mood, so I don't think like that's gonna be ideal for me to read at the moment. But this one is shorter. I've had it for a really long time. I believe someone sent it to me, Carol from Carol Marie Reads, so thank you so much, Carol. She sent it for my birthday so long ago, but and I'm just reading it out. Thank you though. I'm pretty sure this one's about a cult, but it is talking a lot about a family in the synopsis, so I'm pretty sure it might be like a culty family. I'm not 100% sure. I will definitely update y'all in my wrap up if I read this, which I should, or if I don't, I'll have to take another punishment. But whenever I read it, I'll give y'all a more full synopsis of it, of course. Spin number 3. A book to movie TV show adaptation. So spin 3, I literally got book to movie adaptation or book to TV show adaptation. I don't have any that I want to read at the moment, so I'm gonna respin. I do give myself 1 respin every single month, so I'm respinning, and y'all can fight me, but I've always said this from the beginning that I get 1 respin for prompts that I don't want. I just get 1 though. So if I don't like 1 prompt and then another prompt that I don't like shows up, sucks to suck. I gotta take it. Respin of number 3. We have a hardcover. So for the actual number 3, I got a hardcover, which is interesting because last month I got a paperback. And so I'm going to go with She Started It, you know, my Patreon book club pick, just to make it a little easier on myself, because I always love to do that. I love when I hit the Patreon book club pick into the spins, and I just really, I live, laugh, loving. Spin number 4. We have a new to you author. Next up is a new to you author, and there's a lot of different books that I could go with for this because obviously there's a ton of authors I still have not read yet, and I do give myself the privilege of switching books out for different prompts. Let's just say I'm like, I really don't want to read that book now. I could switch it out, or let's just say I don't get to the book that I picked, but I got to another book that fulfills that prompt that already is not fulfilling another spin. I don't double up on my spins. Then I will count that one. But this one I do really want to read, and it's been in so many TBRs and I haven't gotten to it. But Hailey assured me that this book is perfect for like fall time, and we're starting to get into fall a little bit. So I'm gonna be reading it hopefully this month or in October, and that is Penbal by Dathan Arthur Back. I don't know how to say it, okay? But this one I've been wanting to read so much, okay? All I know is about a man and he starts to like unlock some childhood memories, and I've heard this kind of be like compared to like Slenderman, but everybody I know has given this book like 5 stars, so I need to read it. I don't even know that much about it, but something about it just draws me in and I just need to read it. But there's no audiobook, so I have to physically read it with my eyes, which we'll see how that goes. But I really want to read it so bad. And lastly, we have spin number 5. Which is a queer author. And the last prompt that I spun is queer author, and I will take that and multiply it by 25 because I really want to read It Came From the Closet, which is kind of like an anthology. I think it's more like non-fiction-y, but it's 25 contemporary queer and trans writers reflecting on the horror films that shaped them and shook them, from Hitchcock to Halloween to Hereditary. So it has a lot of authors in here. I don't know if I've read from any of these. I read from Carmen Maria Machado before, but I don't think I've read from any of the other ones. But I love the cover so much, and I think that this would be perfect as we're heading into spooky season, because spooky season for me starts in September. So I'm really excited to start getting to this one, and it's full of plenty queer authors. Even if I just read one little section from this, technically I read from a queer author their full little part. So yeah, but I think that this one will be nice. Like maybe I can like read it at night, like 1 or 2 a night, and that can be like a good way to complete my day because I don't think the sections will probably be too long. And I plan on filming one other reading vlog this month, and I'm not going to tell y'all what it is because it'll spoil it when the video comes out. But the book I'm going to be reading for that is The Nanny, and I'm really excited to get to this one. This has also been one that I've been really wanting to get to. I was highly anticipating it, and I also do technically have the arc of this. Like I received the arc and I didn't read it, which always happens to me, or I always do it to myself where I never read the arcs. But this one I believe is about a woman who runs an OnlyFans, and she gets this job as a nanny during, like, I guess her off time. And what she does not realize is that the man, the single father that she's nannying for, is actually her biggest OnlyFans fan, I guess you could say, like the biggest contributor, which is tea. This man must have money. If he's giving hella money to this woman on OnlyFans and he's paying her to be his nanny, he must have hella bread. I'm trying to get some of that bread for real, because as I said, there are some other books that I would really like to get to this month that I know I'm not going to get to, but I just thought I would mention them because maybe I'll get to a couple of them. So I know that, as I said, we're going into spooky season, but one thing about me is I love this cozy mystery series, and most of them do take place like in the summer. It takes place at a beach. They do have like a Christmas one, but I normally read at least a couple every single summer, and I haven't read one this summer yet. So I may try to read this towards like the first half of the month, and that is Closely Harbored Secrets. I don't even remember which number in the series this is, but it is the next one that I need to read. This is by Bree Baker, who is also Julianne Lindsay. She writes under a lot of different pen names. I think she has like 4, but this is honestly like my favorite series from her. And we follow a woman who actually runs like an iced tea shop, and she lives in like the Outer Banks of North Carolina, which is the state that I live in, so it's kind of nice as well. And she kind of just gets involved in all these different scenarios in her town where, you know, she's wrapped up in a murder, as normal cozy mysteries go. And this one I actually just like looked at the synopsis, like I peeped it, and it says it's almost Halloween. So honestly, like this is like the perfect like bridge between that summer and fall season, because it takes place at a beach town, but it's almost Halloween. So it'll be perfect for this time of year, for real, like in this transition time. So I'm really excited to get to that one. And then also I forgot to mention that I was in the middle of filming a Patreon exclusive video that I do every single month for my queen tier, my slasher queens. I give them an exclusive video every month, and I started one in July where I was reading their recommendations. I had 3 books for that video. I read 1, and I ended up doing a different slasher queen exclusive that month because I was in a reading slip and I couldn't finish all of them. So I'm hoping to do that video this month as well. So I will be reading Just Like Home, which I mentioned at the beginning of the video. That one is about a woman who goes back to her childhood home, and her mother is dying, but she never really kind of had a good relationship with her. They're kind of estranged, but things start to go on in the house, and I heard that it's kind of haunted house-y, but not really. Like it's marketed as a haunted house, but it's not really. Her dad was also a serial killer, so she's trying to unpack kind of like what happened in that house. The other one that I'm supposed to read for that video is Fourth Wing, And all I know is that it is a really popular fantasy with dragons, and I think it's at like an academy that's like deadly. But I don't know much else about it, but I'm gonna see if the hype is good, okay? I may do an individual vlog on it and like just take that part out and put it as a video on my channel with just that singular book, like do a single book vlog, and then probably give it early to the queens. But we'll see. Let me know if you want to see my thoughts on Fourth Wing to tell y'all if it's actually worth it or not from a non-fantasy reader perspective. And yeah, I'll give it to you if you really want it. And then another one that's actually fantasy, which, you know, we're trying to mix things up, read a little different, because, you know, some of the genres are starting to get a little stale. But I have Every Heart a Doorway by Shauna McGuire. This one's a super short fantasy that a lot of people love, even if they're not fantasy readers. This is about this woman, Eleanor West, and she runs this home for wayward children, which are basically children in this world that have basically like actually gone to these kind of like what we would think of as imaginary worlds they've gone to, and now they've come back normally from them. Like, I've heard that it alternates where one book takes place in our world and then the next book will actually take place in those other worlds. But the point of her home is to help these children get rehabilitated and kind of reintegrate back into the regular world, because a lot of times they were living in like this very fantastical, like phenomenal world, and now they don't really want to be in the real world again. I'm really excited to get to this one because everybody has loved this one as well. Everybody gives it 5 stars. Another one that I really want to get to because I love this author so much is Family Lore by Elizabeth Acevedo. She didn't come out with a release last year, but this is her adult debut, and I've loved every book from her so far. I've given them all 5 stars. And I'm really excited to see what she does with an adult book. I don't really know what this is about at all, and I don't really want to, except I think it's something to do with family. I think when I did read the synopsis a bit, it kind of reminded me of The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina. I always say that title so wrong, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of that book, but it's Elizabeth Acevedo. I haven't read that book, by the way, but just the synopses kind of seem a little similar to each other. So I don't know if it gives similar vibes or if I could recommend it or what, but the synopsis was giving similar vibes to me. I also would really like to read Dark Corners this month by Megan Golden. This is actually a sequel to one of her books. It's my favorite book that I've read by her, and that is The Night Swim. So this is a sequel, but I heard that it's completely different. Well, I feel like it's like a traditional like thriller sequel or like a mystery sequel, cozy mystery sequel, where it follows like the same characters but it's a completely different like mystery thriller situation. So that's what this is. I don't know what the mystery thriller situation is, but I love The Night Swim so much, and I really enjoyed Stay Awake as well. I'm really excited to pick this one up and continue with the Night Swim series. I don't know, it had a podcast in The Night Swim, so I really hope that that's in this book as well. I know a lot of people are getting tired of that trope, like the podcast trope, but I love it, so I'm gonna continue reading it. The last book that I physically own that I really would like to read is Hostage by Claire McIntosh. I just picked this one up in the end of July, and this one just sounds so good. And I feel like this could be like a thriller to like really get me back into reading. This takes place on a plane, and I'm pretty sure it's a hostage situation. I think we actually follow like the pilot, and it's blurred by Queen Karen. It also is a blurb by Lisa, who is not my fave. I know that Hailey really loved this one and she recommended it to me, which is why I picked it up, and it just sounds like it's going to really get me back in reading. And then I also wanted to mention that I have 2 arcs that are coming out in September and October that I really would like to get to. The first one is Black Sheep by Rachel Harrison. I don't know if I've ever actually read a Rachel Harrison, but a lot of people are anticipating this one, so I really like to read it to let you guys know my thoughts and, you know, try and stay a little bit on top of my arcs. I'm not stayed on them at all this year, but I could try my best going forward now. And then I also have That Night in the Woods by Christopher Triana, and this one comes out in October, so I have a little bit of time. If I don't read it this month, I can completely carry it over into September, and so I'm really excited for this one because I love Gone to See the Riverman by Christopher Triana. I need to read the sequel. I'm hoping to read that for my thriller horror new release reading vlog, so I really am gonna try and read it. But this one, I really want to read it too. I don't even know what it's about at all. Like, I don't know the synopsis. I just saw Christopher Triana and I said request, so I'm gonna read it eventually regardless because it's Christopher, and even though I've only read 1 book by him so far, he just eats. He has a special place in my heart, okay? So yeah, those are all the books that I plan on or hope to read this month. There's a lot of hopefuls in here, so if you don't see these books being read, do not judge me. Besides the spinner wheel, I need to read that, and the TBR darn. Okay, I give y'all permission to whoop my behind if I don't read those books. So if you made it to the end of this video, I don't think I've ever told y'all to leave the skull emoji, which is one of my favorite emojis, most used emojis. So leave the skull emoji down below if you made it to the end, and I will see y'all in my next one. Bye everybody.